Trump is really doing everything within his power or his previous power, the power that he used to have, to get us to stop talking about him and Epstein and the Epstein files in general. But much to his chagrin, it's just not working. Now, for the purposes of this conversation, we're going to pretend that this hat, this dad gang hat, is a tinfoil hat. Because I'm going to lay out the things that I've been seeing, the things that I've been tracking. And you guys just tell me what you think. Does it look suspicious? Because it looks suspicious to me. I'm not saying that he's necessarily implicated in the files and related to the things that Jeffrey Epstein was doing. But the Wall Street Journal is saying that back in May, Trump was informed that he's in the files. Now he just wants to sweep everything under the rug. And I'm just saying it looks suspicious.
The Wall Street Journal is now reporting that Justice Department officials told President Trump in May that his name was among many names mentioned in the Epstein files. This is something the White House is now labeling as, quote, fake news, end quote. Our panel will be here to weigh in, but we do want to start with CNN Chief Legal Affairs Correspondent Paula Reed. We also have our Chief Congressional Correspondent Manu Raju on.
Before they get started with these panelists and these people that are going to be reporting, how did you just say it's fake news? Why don't you come out and say in which context you guys had a relationship? Because there's at least a dozen pictures of you guys together. Does it make sense that you would at least be in the files in some context? Yes, it would. But you trying to act like there's no reason, no implication that's made by you being in the files, it just looks suspicious a little bit. I'm not saying necessarily that you did anything. We just want to know what your relationship was, because you had a relationship. There's no denying that.
Capitol Hill. Paula, I want to go first to you, and especially this Wall Street Journal headline, which is that the Justice Department told Trump in May that his name is among many in the Epstein files, that he was told at this meeting the files contained what officials felt was unverified hearsay about many people, including Trump, who had socialized with Epstein in the past, some of the officials said. One of the officials familiar with the documents said that they contain hundreds of other names. We are in the course of reporting this out, obviously. But what else do we know? And it also comes in the context of these court decisions today.
Hundreds of names. In what context? I'm sure he had a bunch of different contacts. I'm sure he had a bunch of different contacts because of the wealth and status that he had. But we just want to know something. Don't give us the bullshit, oh no, there's nothing to see here. Pull back the curtain. We want to see the wizard. That's all we want. All we want is transparency. That's the thing that Donald Trump promised when he was campaigning. That's what he campaigned on, draining the swamp, pulling the curtain back. Okay, it's time to pull it back. Don't put a mirror up and say, oh, there was nothing back here in the first place.
Let's start with the Wall Street Journal reporting what we have not independently confirmed. We have received some statements from the Justice Department saying, quote, the DOJ and the FBI reviewed the Epstein files and reached the conclusion set out in the July 6th memo. Nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution. We have filed a motion in court to unseal the underlying grand jury transcripts. We'll get to that in a second. As part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings. So in that statement from the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General, they are not directly addressing the most significant part of this, which is the reporting that Trump was told he was mentioned multiple times in these files. Now, there's also a statement from the FBI Director Kash Patel. It says the memo released on July 6th is consistent with a thorough review conducted by the FBI and DOJ. The criminal leakers and fake news media tries tirelessly to undermine President Trump with smears, lies, and this story is no different. I'm reading that because it suggested to me that the FBI director there is calling the story a lie, but that's not actually specifically what he's saying. And I think all of this is really important, Casey, because if we go back to the first Bondi-related Epstein controversy, you may remember she held an event to great fanfare at the White House where she handed out binders of what was promised to be new information related to the Epstein investigations. And a lot of MAGA-aligned influencers were very disappointed because most of what she handed out was already in the public record. But sources at that time told me a lot of the frustration from the White House with Bondi in that event was the fact that they didn't redact Trump's name. Even
these theatrics, like looking back in hindsight, them doing this was embarrassing because they did all of these theatrics to bring influencers, people from Twitter and people that were supporting Trump. Instead of giving the public the information on what was in the Epstein files or whatever, They wanted to make a rollout, like an album rollout. These are serious allegations. Why are you doing this like you're part of clips and this is part of your promo? Anyway, let's move on. Trump was told that he was in the Epstein files. In what context? How was your name mentioned? Was it just that you guys were friends? Or was it the fact that you said that Jeffrey Epstein likes him young? He's sort of like you. That's what Trump said about 20 years ago. Now, when a bunch of things start lining up, I just don't like it. It gives me like conspiracy theory vibes. So recently, on top of this, finding out that Trump was named in the Epstein files and he doesn't want us to know how he was named, I also found out that Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, the one that got him what they called the sweetheart deal back in 2009, somewhere around there, the guy that got him that sweetheart deal passed away. Now that we started talking about this Epstein stuff, the gentleman has passed away. He's 80 though. He was 80. So it could have been of natural causes. I just don't like when things start lining up. It looks very suspicious. We found out that Trump's name is in the Epstein files. The lawyer passes away. We cannot forget about the doctored or altered security cam footage from in the jail. That was just a couple of weeks ago. I know that like so many things happen at such a rapid pace that we can't really keep up. But there was about 3 minutes missing from the jail video on the night that Jeffrey Epstein was murdered. They want to brush that under the rug. They want to move past it. I don't know if you guys have been seeing what Trump has been posting online. It's been a lot of, oh, the Redskins need to change their name. I'm putting pressure back on the owners. We need to make football great again. The baseball team needs to change their name back to the Indians. We have actual things that are going on that are important in this society. But Trump wants to focus on the fact that football teams are not named the same way that they were when he was growing up. Remember when he was sitting at that table and they were talking about the missing minute? He said, Jeffrey Epstein was trivial and we had actual issues going on in this country, and talking about something so trivial was a desecration. You don't think talking about the football team's names is a desecration? I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I'm not president, so I could be totally missing the point. On top of all of that, so we've got, just to remind you guys the score we're at, Trump was told back in May that he was in the Epstein files. Then he said, hey, we're not going to release anything on the Epstein files. There's nothing to see here. The lawyer recently passed away, the guy that represented Jeffrey Epstein. That's 2. Things are starting to line up. See, they say once is a mistake, twice is a pattern. Ghislaine Maxwell, after the video was released, said that she wanted to testify. And she's supposed to be getting interviewed by somebody that's in the Trump administration. That just seems like a conflict of interest to me. Now, as you can see, all of these stars start to align. And when this stuff starts to come together and you look at the total picture, it just looks suspicious. I know there are a lot of people that are waiting for the information to come out and be like, look, Trump is in there. He was doing the same thing as Epstein. That is not a thing that we should be cheering for. But whoever is in there and was participating in that stuff has to be arrested. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't care if you're Elon Musk, not to say that him and Jeffrey Epstein were friends. I don't care if you're Elon Musk and you're the richest man in the world. I don't care if you're poor and living on the streets of Los Angeles, but you used to have some connections to Jeffrey Epstein. I don't care. You've got to go to jail. And all of these distractions that Trump keeps trying to do and saying, hey, whatever you do, don't look behind that door. It makes us want to know what's behind the door. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep twisting the knob. We need to know. Because this is what you campaigned on. This is a Mandarin orange. You campaigned on releasing that information. And the people in your administration are saying, no, Trump is good to go. That's just like when a mom comes on the news to tell the public that her son would never do that, but her son did that. That's what's going on. At least it seems that way.